Swing into Romance is a 2023 film directed by Bradley Walsh. It's written by Scott Sveslosky, and we have a cast including Danica McKellar, David Haydn-Jones, and Gleb Savchenko. And I apologise if I've mispronounced any of those names. And I was really looking forward to this because, one, I love Danica McKellar. Two, I love films that are very autumnal, and it looked like it was going to be a very autumnal film. And I'm pleased to say Danica McKellar was great. And it is very autumnal. There are a lot of leaves and orange colours, visually absolutely stunning. Actually kind of over the top in places, but personally, I don't mind that. However, the narrative itself wasn't great. It wasn't terrible. It's certainly watchable, but I wouldn't say I particularly enjoyed it. Christine takes part in a dancing competition. She is a former dancer, and she really needs to win because her family's store is not doing very well financially, and this win could, of course, make a significant difference. As a concept, absolutely no problems with it. I think it works very well, by which I mean I believe the characters' motivations, I believe the dynamics between the family members, absolutely no issues there. I really believe that Christine was doing this for the right reasons, and I believe that she really, really wanted this. However, the actual specifics of the narrative are just really, really dull. It's very, very slow. Her interactions with other characters are just not that interesting, and it's not so much a lack of chemistry, it's just that the relationships with other people, her dance partners, and, her family members, not too bad, but I guess the romantic parts of this are just kind of boring, kind of stale. So it doesn't really have a lot to offer in terms of the character relationships or the specifics of the narrative. The dancing looks good to my amateur eyes. I'm not a dancer, I don't dance, but the performances looked pretty good. So for me, that was not bad. If you're a professional dancer, you might think otherwise, I don't know. But that part of it was okay. And also, it doesn't take up that much time either. So if, like me, you're not that bothered about films about dancing, there are not too many dancing scenes. There are enough that that's definitely the main focus of the narrative, or one of the main focuses. But it's not every other scene. There's enough going on around about that it, in general, seems like a well-fleshed-out narrative. There is a lot going on, but it's just unfortunate that most of what is going on is not that interesting. So, on the one hand, it's a well-thought-out narrative, by which I mean it makes sense. There's enough going on that it doesn't get too stale, but at the same time, it's getting close to that. It's pretty boring. So, I don't know, visually, absolutely gorgeous. Danica McKellar is brilliant, and her character, Christine, is really likeable. And her family members are likeable, but it's basically all of the other characters. There's a little girl called Taylor, played by Taya Messier. I liked her. I thought she was great. But there's just not enough in this for me to say it's a good film. It's not a bad experience, but the narrative, while well written in the sense that the narrative moves forward at a believable rate, I wasn't that interested in it. The characters are not that interesting apart from Christine and maybe a couple of others. And it's very slow. So I didn't love it, but I do love the autumn vibes, and I did like Christine as a protagonist, and her family members were quite nice as well. So, do I recommend it? If there's something about this that makes you want to watch it, whether you love autumnal films, you love films about dancing, you're a fan of Danica McKellar or anybody else in this, then yes, check it out. There's enough in it to make it watchable. But if you're just looking for an enjoyable narrative with great character interactions and a really strong emotional journey, then Swing into Romance isn't going to be that film. It's okay. There were times when I enjoyed it, there were times when it was boring. It's not a bad film, but it definitely wasn't as good as I'd hoped.